All right. Welcome to another episode of How I Met Your Mortgage. As always, I'm your host, Adam Smith with Just the Tips Coaching. And we've got a really cool guest for you guys today. I'm not going to call Katie out to the carpet and ask her if she was nervous about coming on a live video cast and podcast, but maybe she'll share that with us. But welcome to the show, Katie McCaslin. Hi, Katie.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Oh, no, we've been looking forward to this for a good long while. I'm glad you could make the time. And of course, having all of our guests booked out like a year in advance, it's so hard to tell what's going to be going on in, well, the world, right? If nothing else, in the last 5 years, we learned that the world's a pretty unpredictable place. And then, of course, the real estate world is really unpredictable. It's absolutely crazy what goes on. And if I'm not mistaken, you're here in Colorado as well.
Yep.
Okay. In the Denver market?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So we're basically neighbors. If memory serves, you came from somewhere else up and down the Front Range of Colorado. Fort Collins, maybe?
Yep, I grew up in Fort Collins, but I've been down in Denver since 2011.
Okay. Very cool. I did my undergrad work at CSU. Go Rams. So
yeah. Well, I came down for CU Denver, so.
Okay. That's funny. That's really funny. Okay. So we had similar paths there, and you're actually a Colorado native.
Yes.
So few.
I know.
That's really cool stuff. Yeah, my kids are 5th generation Colorado natives. So yeah,
that's
pretty
awesome.
Rare stuff. All right. So I want to give you a little background. It's the first time you've been on the show. Hopefully it won't be the last. We talked a little bit about who our audience is and what we work on at Just the Tips and those kinds of things. But I do think it's important for you to know, as probably most of our audience does, that this process of getting you as a guest on the show started more than just a year ago of us asking, hey, would you come on the podcast for us? Because we've been watching you for longer than that. We have. We do have some vetting that takes place so that our audience knows, that our clients know, that the people that we're having come on the show and give us insight about how they got started in the business or what their business looks like now or how they do their lead gen or how they do their team structure are people that are actually producing a decent volume of business. So we've already done some vetting. For those of you that are new to the show, or for Katie in this particular sense, know that our audience already knows that you're pretty badass when it comes to the real estate game.
Well, okay? Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. This is what we expect for them to want and to know and to see and so on and so forth. Outside of that, we are live on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And then for those of you that are strict to the podcast, we will have that up for everybody on Wednesdays on Amazon, Spotify, and Apple. A little tongue-tied this morning. So, Katie, tell us about Katie. How long have you been doing real estate?
Yeah, definitely. So I got licensed in 2017. So that's 7 years now.
Okay.
Jumped into it pretty young. I think I was 24 when I got licensed. So definitely a learning curve there.
Are you a mom of 2?
Yeah.
Really young kids?
2 little toddlers, 3 and 5.
Okay. And so you jumped into this before you jumped into that.
Correct.
Which one's the more difficult job?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know at this point. Within the age 3 and 5, I'm like, it kind of feels like I have a lot of toddlers.
Okay. Well, and you're married.
Yes.
So it's 3 toddlers. I get it. But for those
at
of you
home and then like 100 toddlers on the market.
All right. For those of you that don't know, men don't grow up; we just grow old. So that's a big part of it. But at least you're out of diapers, I'll bet.
Yes, we are.
Okay, that's the major highlight. Yeah. Although I'm sure there's still some bottle feeding when it comes to your buyers and sellers.
Sometimes.
It is kind of a psychological therapist role, no question.
Especially in this market.
Yeah. Well, and you have, in a relatively short career, seen a pretty wild ride in real estate. What went on during the pandemic and what's gone on with the NAR settlements and what's then, of course, the always prevalent Department of Regulatory agencies here in Colorado kind of reversing that and saying, no, we're not going to do it the way that NAR, which is a trade organization and doesn't make or enforce law, or your brokerage, which doesn't make or enforce law. Dora, on the other hand, does. So they, Marcia Waters, an amazing woman, very, very smart, took a lot of consumer insight in Colorado and said, no, we're not quite going to do it that way. We're going to make this a little more logical for agents and buyers and sellers and everybody involved. Yeah, you have seen some chaos. So let's get into the Wayback Machine and talk about 2017.
Yeah.
And how did you get your start? Where did you first land coming out of real estate school? What were you doing to drum up business? I mean, we all know that great Aunt Edna doesn't buy a house every year.
Totally.
We come from somewhere than our circles. What was that like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely very difficult coming, straight out of college life into a career like this. Your sphere of influence is so young and not quite there to buy houses. So it was one of those things where I was like, how can I make real estate pay my bills without depending on buyers and sellers? And that's kind of where my initial role into real estate went. We bought our first flip probably like 6 months after I got licensed.
Cool.
Which I thought was going to be like a really hard conversation to convince my husband to do with me, but he was just like, sure, whatever you want to do. And I was like, okay. So I found a couple local mentors around here, and we spent a few months kind of learning from them, hands-on. He would take me around to the houses on the market that were distressed and kind of teach me how much things cost to repair. We would like walk it ourselves and fill it out and see how close we got to how much he thought it would be on the renovation cost. So there was a lot of really cool hands-on learning that went on for those couple of months. And then it was kind of like, here you go out and try it. So we just kind of sent it and we bought a house, didn't know anything about really houses or how to fix them. I had no contractors. It was really kind of just like a mad dash scramble the entire time. And I would say it was honestly like a really terrible experience too at the end of the day.
I'll bet it was both really great and really terrible.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I learned so much in that moment, and it being like just freshly licensed too, like it's not like I was terribly busy. So that did take up a lot of my time, and it was cool to get deeper into houses and like learn how much it costs to fix, like really hands-on and not just like estimating walking around. And I feel like those small parts of it over like that first year that we were flipping and I was in real estate really gave me a leg up on, people trusting me, because I like actually was like documenting on like Instagram and Facebook, like us tearing this house apart and putting it back together and then listing it and selling it and whatever. But so that's kind of how it started. And that first one was a ride, but it was almost this like addicting hobby that I had found where like, even though it was so tragic, I was like, let's do it again. And my mentor at the time, like we didn't have kids, but he was like, this is exactly what it's going to be like when you guys have kids. You're going to do it. It's going to be torture, but then you're going to do it again. And that's like something I always keep in the back of my mind. Was so funny.
Are you still doing them now?
Yeah, we do like 15 to 20 a year now.
Wow. Okay, that's big.
Yeah.
There's something in there that I do want to discuss because I think that that's really important for people to understand, and not just real estate agents or mortgage originators, our usual audience, but that's big for even people that are outside of those circles or people that are looking to find other revenue streams, so on and so forth. But I do want to go back to something that you had said, because I think it's really valuable that one of the things you had done, maybe it was just by default, is that you had established a specific degree of know, like, and trust for people to ask you, to inquire with you, to work with you through video and social media, which is huge. And for those of you that aren't doing that, you're not doing content circumnavigating things that are even trials and tribulations, because we're all human. Katie's not a real estate machine. She's had her follies and foibles with these kinds of things as well. But it's authentic, it's transparent, it's trust building, and people get to know who you are, what it would be like to work with you.
Totally.
Which is really cool shit. Okay, so the flipping, and I actually talked to a client that's doing a fix and flip right now, and we do quite a bit of fix and flip lending. They hated that term. I just don't like the term flipping. I'm like, well, isn't that what you're doing?
What it is.
Yeah, I get it, but isn't that really what you're doing? Well, yeah. Okay, well, then let's talk about this as we define it as a fix and flip loan, because, yeah, we need to talk about ARVs, and we need to talk about loan to value for after repair value and these kinds of things.
Right.
So I've seen a lot of it. I've been doing this for a minute longer than you have. In fact, I was a loan originator for a brokerage operation that had offices around the country before starting my own, and that was 20 years ago. So I've seen a little bit of fix and flip type of work, and it was obviously very, very prevalent 20 years ago. And then we started building into an arena, certainly past '07 and '08, where we've always had a housing shortage. I mean, how many real estate agents have actually seen a buyer's market?
Yeah.
1-2%. It's slim. And as that has gone on and grown, that shortage, now we see people that want to do fix and flips having to compete with people that want to fix and hold. And we see people wanting to do fix and flips that have to compete with people that are willing to rehab and occupy because they need a place to live. So in that time frame that you've been doing this, it's become competitive.
Yeah.
It's become more difficult to really find those diamonds in the rough.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
what are you guys looking for? And I see that we've got some audience viewership going on here. So if you guys want to ask Katie questions, don't hesitate. We'll post them up and Katie will answer them. But yeah, tell us how that has developed for you over the years.
yeah, I mean, I think even in 2017, there was still like quite a level of competitiveness. The prices were obviously way cheaper back then, but it was still a lot of group showings and card draws and highest and best back then. I think it's actually
Card draws. Oh my God.
I know. I think
a
it's been a little
lottery.
bit easier like now to actually get a pretty good deal. I think, the people you're getting the deals from recognize that hold times are a little bit longer, that the deal needs to be a little bit deeper with 2-1 buy downs coming into our offers. So they've gotten like this ebb and flow of like a lot of people exited when the market slowed down because they were like, this is too risky, which left a little bit of more room for us to have less competition if you were going to hold strong through it. So I don't know. I mean, it's always competitive when there's a good deal. It doesn't really matter the market. A good deal is a good deal. And it just depends on who's out there. And Denver's a really unique market because I feel like there's a really small group of us that do a lot of the fix and flip. So it's kind of fun when you go. And if you are somebody that goes to like a group showing or something, you get to see like all your friends and you're like, who's going to get it? Like there's even like competition in the competition, which can be fun.
How have we not had a reality show about this yet?
I
I see the
know,
one where the
seriously.
people are bidding on abandoned storage lockers, and we don't have
Right.
a reality show of people bidding on properties to flip. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So I mean, I think like the competitiveness will always be there. It doesn't matter the market. It's really just comes down to a good deal is a good deal.
What are some of the things you're really looking for? What are like 3 highlights of where I think this might be a good deal to flip?
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of like your strategy is going to ebb and flow with the market too. Like there was a time in like 2020 to 2021 where it didn't even matter what the deal was. Like if you could just get your hands on it, buy it, even if it looked like you were going to lose money and you were going to get like 40 offers and you were going to make your money on that. So it was like your deal buying there was kind of just like find anything you can win. And now I have kind of pivoted and I have more of like a passion for doing it. So if you kind of looked back through all my flips through the year, like you can see them kind of go from like floor and decor, white and gray, into like me actually enjoying what I'm doing and like getting more creative with it. So like right now, what we look for is just like an extra cool house, like something that you can't go find on the street. Like I don't particularly love doing just basic 3-bed, 2-bath ranch style homes. I have gotten really into like the mid-century homes, vaulted ceilings with that 5th wall up there that you can do, just like something that's like inherently really cool about the house is something that I will jump on versus just like a very basic style of home that has 17 other ones for sale in the neighborhood. And then on the other side of that, like if it is going to be a very basic home, I want to know that I can sell it for like an insanely cheap price when I'm done. So you kind of have to look at it on 2 scales of like, am I going to have a really cool product that those 5 buyers who are shopping are going to jump at because you're not going to find this somewhere else? Or am I going to have that product that is so insanely cheap for the area that I can still, generate multiple offers? So those are kind of just like the 2 ways that I'm looking at it right now. And I just don't want to get into like those really generic floor plans because I just feel like those are what are a little bit more risky right now.
Yeah, it's not 2008 where we were doing that with all the track homes in Green Valley Ranch. I get
Yeah,
it.
right.
All right, fair enough. And are a lot of the buyers and sellers that you're representing flipping properties?
No. So I have like kind of 2 sides of my business there where like the fix and flipping is really just like my kind of passion on the side. A lot of my sellers are investors, but all of my buyers are usually just normal residential buyers.
Owner occupied.
Yeah.
I need a home to live in.
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. So it's got to spark activity in your real estate business, though.
Yeah, which was kind of what I imagined would happen back in 2017 when we started. I was like, I want to flip these properties so that I know like I can pay my bills without depending on other people. But in that, you kind of create a snowball effect of looking busy, being busy, knowing things about real estate. When you're posting so much about houses, whether they're being torn apart or you're just walking through them, even if they're all my properties that I was posting, it was like I'm always top of mind on like real estate, real estate, real estate. This is all I'm doing all day long. So it really did kind of help snowball that effect just into like a pure residential real estate business and career of starting there with the flipping, especially because I was so young.
Yeah, you were pretty young
Yeah.
starting to do it. It's pretty cool stuff, though.
Yeah, it was really fun.
And how many are you juggling right now?
We have 5 projects right now.
Okay. And we're probably doing what, about a dozen a year, I'm guessing then?
Yeah, somewhere between like I would say like we'll probably end around 15 this year, I think.
Okay. And always on the lookout for the next one then.
Always.
Well, that's got to be something that all of you watching, listening, live in syndication, whatever, have got to understand about your business or businesses, in Katie's case here, that the constant thought process of the next deal, the next flip, the next buyer, the next seller, the next development, whatever, has got to literally be eyes open, eyes closed every day for the rest of your career kind of activity. You've got to have that in the back of your mind all the time.
Totally.
And this is what makes people successful, is we are not caught up in the mundane. We are not talking about what's gone on yesterday. We're looking forward, we're moving forward. And yeah, that's really a big deal. Are you acting as your own agent when you're doing acquisitions and sales as well?
Yeah, I mean, we buy a lot of properties from wholesalers and just agents that will call me if the listing's not selling. I'll get the occasional one on market writing for myself. A lot of the acquisition side, though, will come from somebody else that's selling me the contract. I would say most of my deals come that way. We did just close on one I got on the MLS. And then when I go and list them, yeah, I am my own agent on them.
This is really cool stuff. Are there? Tell me what your team looks like. What does your business structure look like right now?
Yeah, I mean, I have a group of agents that we've been together for years. We actually just dissolved the brokerage that we were at, and we moved over to Real Broker, and we really like it. But we're not like an actual team or anything like that. Just a good group of agents that have been together for a while. And personally, it's just me. My husband does roofing sales kind of on the side. He's mostly fully involved in our flip business too, which is really helpful. And yeah, we just have a couple contractors we work with that we have really good relationships with. I like to sub a lot of my projects out. So it's kind of a mix of like a contractor handling some stuff and then me bringing in some of my own subs that I have good relationships with. So it's just like a fun, good time and we're all friends.
Well, and at this point, I've got to assume your 5-year-old is swinging a hammer for you.
Absolutely.
And we're only another year away from the 3-year-old. So yeah, it'll be the full-on McCaslin home rehab team.
Right.
I love it. One more and you guys could have a basketball team. That'll be cool. No more. All right. Katie has learned her lesson. And parenthood will do that to you.
Yeah.
No question. But this is really kind of a cool melding of all of these different things coming together, the flipping and the real estate and the roof sales and so on and so forth. Actually, that's kind of, I don't know that this is going to be a big interest to our audience, but now I'm curious. How many of these houses that you guys are flipping need a roof?
I mean, a lot of them, honestly.
A lot of them?
Yeah.
That's rough. Okay. And they're all here in Denver Metro.
Yeah, for the most part. We've done a couple in Fort Collins, and then my husband and I did 3 in Tennessee, and we've done 2 in Arizona, but most of them are all here.
But for those of you watching and listening, this is possible to do long distance.
Yeah, definitely.
That's really a big deal.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, people ask me all the time about rental properties, in particular short-term rental properties. We do quite a bit of being self-managed out of state. I'm like, it's not 1985 here. The global network has made this so much easier. The technology has made this so much easier.
Yeah.
Hey, I need a window glazer in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Well, great. I'm going to find that Myrtle Beach, South Carolina group or Facebook groups or LinkedIn group, whatever. And I'm like, hey, I need a glazer. And I'm going to get 20 suggestions.
100%.
The development of what has gone on technologically has made that so
we
plausible.
self-manage a short-term rental in Scottsdale for ourselves, and it's so easy.
It's so easy. Yeah, I mean, it comes with its share of headaches, no question. And a big shout out to one of my assistants, Mindy Freed, who helps me manage all of that. And she may very well be watching. That would not surprise me in the least. I know she wants to keep tabs on me doing my job. And Mindy, I'm here with Katie. I'm doing my job, I swear.
Love it.
So, Katie, what's going to we've had a lot of these conversations, and I don't want to drag it through the mud, but obviously the changes that have gone on in the real estate space this year are big. It's probably certainly the biggest development you've seen as a real estate agent.
Totally.
And it may very well be the biggest development of what goes on in real estate historically.
Yeah.
I assume we're not concerned, we're not stressed or strained. It's just business as usual, maybe a hair more communication, these kinds of things. But I'm guessing that a lot of the listings that you're doing are properties that you've rehabbed.
Sort of. Only one that I have 5 listings under contract right now, and only one of them is mine. So
okay.
It's always going to be kind of a mix, but a lot of them are investors. I have 2 homeowners up right now. I mean, the NAR change is something that it's so early. It's only been a month, I would say. Not even. Yeah, of it being in effect. And personally, it hasn't affected anything that I have been a part of. I think a lot of my listing clientele being investors too, they understand that they're going to have to pay, and that's always already in their numbers. Well, they don't have to pay, but that's what they're going to present they want to do. And, even with my homeowners, everyone just kind of understands that, our contracts in Colorado have a specific place for the commission now, and you just write it in. So kind of prepping on that list side of hey, you're not required to pay, but I'm just going to let you know 99.9% of all agents who write you an offer are going to put it down on here. So when we're going over, your bottom line of what we're going to net on the sale, just keep that in mind. And if someone doesn't ask for it, that's great. If you want to negotiate it, we can, but they're probably going to write it in. And when you look at that hard, solid offer in front of you, are you really going to say no to it? So it's kind of just grasping the nature that it's always been negotiable, but it's still probably going to be business as usual.
Yeah, it's really always been there.
Yeah.
It's always been negotiable without equivocation. You can absolutely negotiate, pretty much anything you want in a real estate contract.
Yeah.
We talk about this all the time, when it comes to the home builders, and I'm not going to get up on that soapbox. But everything is negotiable.
Right.
If you want to put in your listing as a seller that you're only going to sell to people with pink hair, you can do that. Totally. And somebody comes along with purple hair, you can negotiate that. We need you to go 2 shades lighter. You can.
I feel like you might get in trouble, but I'd have to look into that one.
It would be plumb dumb. There's no question. If you're going to eliminate blonde people, brown-haired people, redheaded people from your buyer pool, then ridiculous. But as an extreme example, everything is negotiable.
Totally.
And it always has been. Is there a hair more now in the way of communication? Yes. Is there a necessity now, more, again, negligible, but more needed for communication, education, making sure that buyers and sellers really understand what is different, which isn't much? Then, yeah, I think it's really all there is to it.
Yeah, it's this weird balance of right now, I feel like the contract is more disclosure about how much someone's getting paid on that. But then it's everything on the internet is less disclosure. So it's this weird, strange balancing act of I don't fully understand why we're doing it this way, but I don't make the rules.
Yeah. Well, I think I understand some of it. And we obviously saw a lot of this in the mortgage space prior to you being in real estate when it came to CFPB, Dodd-Frank, home valuation code of conduct, how the appraisal process works, on and on, all kinds of different things kind of developed out of that, which is maybe why the mortgage people seem so blasé about how this is going to develop. And I do have a ton of great colleagues that have figured out how to work with agents to make sure that commissions are being paid the way that they should be, and how we can develop different tools and techniques to make sure that education is clear and so on and so forth when it comes to educating the consumer, I mean. So, yeah, I don't think it's really all that big a deal, but let's not forget that, well, we have a money thirsty media that absolutely needs things to latch on to and present in the most fear mongering driven way that they can, because they're capitalists. They want to sell their things just like you and me.
Right.
That gets even more out of hand when it comes to social media,
Mhm.
because, yeah, that part of it. And I can't imagine how many times I've seen somebody say, well, now the law says, I'm like, wait, let's talk about what the law actually says, because NAR doesn't make or enforce law. You're probably a member of a realtor board, would be my guess, either SMETA or DMAR. For those of you out of our market, that's the South Metro Denver Realtor Association, or the what is DMAR's actual, the Denver Metro area? Okay. The Denver Metro Association of Realtors. And they don't make or enforce laws. And here's another thing, guys. Your brokerages don't make or enforce laws. If your brokerages, if your companies have made rules that you don't like or agree with, you have to put up with it.
Mhm.
You have the freedom to make these kinds of changes to your board, to your trade organization, to your company, to the way that you do business, so that it best suits your clients' needs. So feel free to do that. But yes, so much of this crap is twisted with the media, and more so with social media, that, yeah, the people that are really going to succeed when dealing with this particular issue are the ones doing exactly what Katie just described to all of you, making sure that it's clean cut, that your clients understand, and that really what matters for them, like it should with all of you in real estate, insurance, mortgages, financial planning, etc., is what's best for your clients' dollars. That's it. Let's look at the end. What is best for your dollars? And we'll focus on that. And the rest of it is the pieces you're going to put in place to make that happen. Okay. So again, I'm trying my best to stay off my soapbox every week when it comes to what's going on with NAR and the commission disclosures and on and on. And I know all of you out there, it feels fairly chaotic. It's not. Just left foot, right foot, keep moving forward.
Right.
You're going to be fine. And actually, for those of you that are in the game today, after surviving a good chunk of 22 and 23 and 24, literally like 2 years now, you made it. You're still here. Keep going. You're doing great. No question. All right. So, Katie, what do you think is going to come down the pipe? What are some of the next big things? What do you see with AI helping you develop some of this, or other tech aspects? What are you kind of focusing on for the next year, 2, 3, 10? Make sure you get your children to adulthood. You got to water your plants, feed your pets. I get it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, AI is super cool. I don't fully understand it, and I feel like I kind of live in like a world of chaos right now between like my clients and my flips, so I haven't really had time to like hone in on all those cool new things coming out. It feels like something new technology wise every week, and my emails are always flooded with like, hey, let me help you set up this, let me help you set up that, and it can be definitely a little bit overwhelming. So it'll be interesting to see how AI does start helping people with like their flows and emails and all of those kind of different things that they're sending out. It's powerful for sure.
That could be dangerous as well. And
Yeah.
even in what's a relatively short career for you, although, 10 times longer than the average real estate agent, which is also really weird. But you guys are always being thrown shiny objects.
Yeah.
And you really got to find that balance where you're adopting cool new stuff that
Mhm.
you're actually going to make malleable, make your own,
Mhm.
without getting caught up in it, without wasting money, so on and so forth. It's hard
It is.
to
There's
kind
just
of
so much
filter
all the
through that
time.
all the time. And yeah, I do think a couple of the things I'm seeing with AI that are unique, and we certainly want to make sure that our audience understands, that our coaching clients understand. Guys, AI is not going to take your job.
No.
People using AI will take your job. Let's make sure we understand that difference. More importantly, I see a lot of people, and credit to a colleague of mine, Scotty Shang, who is like tech genius when it comes to the mortgage and real estate space. People are looking for problems to use AI to solve. rather than using AI to enhance the things they've already solved.
Mhm.
So that one, and it just seems so true to me. The volume of people I'm watching try to find problems that AI can solve for them, and essentially you're doubling up your workload. You're
Totally.
wanting to take on AI. You're wanting to learn AI. ChatGPT, whatever Meta's AI is really incredible. And of course, all of these things that we use, like you and I are on StreamYard right now, has AI. And Filmora that we use for video editing has AI, and on and on. Don't go seeking out new problems that AI can solve. Figure out how you can use it to enhance the things you've already solved, I
Totally.
guess would be my best bit of advice. And we'll talk about that a bunch at our upcoming conference here at the end of the month. And I'll share some details with our audience on that. But Katie, thank you. This
Yeah.
has been fantastic. Let's do it again.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
At that point, your kids will be 4 and 6.
Crazy.
They literally will be subs on your projects.
Yeah, for real.
Well, that'll go by in a blink of an eye. If nothing else, having kids certainly makes time whip on by.
For
There's
sure.
no question. But yeah, thank you. I know carving out this kind of time with your schedule on a Monday morning is not an easy task. So thank you a ton for doing it.
Yeah.
And for the rest of you, yeah, there's all kinds of stuff going on. Go check out justthetipscoaching.com. You can certainly get copies of my books. One is strictly on lead gen. That's actually called Just the Tips. The other is Mindset Tools for Sales. There we talk about the constancy and consistency of anything that you're going to do in your lead gen. And like Katie and I talked about, that authenticity and transparency when you're doing your, whatever it is in your content, whether it's mail or snail mail or email or text campaigns or voicemail campaigns or social media or video, on and on. There's a lot of good content in there. The big one, of course, is the Mile High Mastermind, our 8th annual, coming up at the end of the month, always the last weekend in September. You can find information about it and get tickets there. Again, justthetipscoaching.com. Katie, bottom of my heart, thank you. This was fantastic. I promised I wouldn't let on to the fact that you may have been a tad bit nervous about coming on and doing a live broadcast, but you fucking crushed it.
All right.
So yeah, I love it. And for the rest of you, we are here Monday mornings at 9:30 Pacific. I guess that would be afternoon, 12:30 Eastern. And the podcast goes up on Wednesdays, so you can catch us live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. And you can catch the podcast 48 hours later on Amazon, Spotify, and Apple. I knew I was going to struggle with one of those there. Jen would be proud that I remembered all 3. And that's it. We will see you guys next time. Katie, don't go anywhere. I'm going to run our extra, and you and I can chat for a couple of post-production seconds, and then I'll cut you loose. Awesome. Everybody else, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Perfect.